Okay, great. So welcome. My name is Lyle Benjamin. I'm the founder and executive director of Planned Acts of Kindness and One Planet, One People, both 501c3 nonprofit organizations that work on providing quality of life systems for people around the world. So welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, right, to learn a little bit more about our programs and how you might participate in as a professional volunteer. And what I'd like to do first is hear from you all about who you are, a little bit about what your background is, maybe what you studied in college and what you're up to today. And then, right, we'll see about how we can integrate what your background and interests are in conjunction with our programs in order to have an impact on people in the world. Sound good? Okay, so Savarna, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So hi, everyone. This is Suvarna, and I'm coming from a technology background. I have been working as a project manager with the technical companies, tech giants like Samsung, and also have worked as a with the startups. But right now, currently, I'm taking a break from work due to some personal reasons. And at the same time, I wanted to utilize my knowledge and experience to help some nonprofit achieve their project goals. I also have a master's in computer science, a bachelor's in electronics and communication. So pretty much into technical and technology. So yeah, so that's why I joined Plan Act of Kindness, and let's see how can I contribute and collaborate with you all.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, was there a specific program that you saw in terms of, you know, I don't know if you went to our website or if you got our app, but I know that, you know, you originally, I believe you found us through Volunteer Match, correct?
Yes, so I took a quick glance on the website, and of course, I saw the post on the LinkedIn for the project management opportunity. So that's where I applied for. Yeah.
Okay, and we have lots of projects, so I'm going to go through in a little bit, yeah, the scope of those projects, and then we'll be able to narrow down, you know, 2 or 3 that you might be more interested in, and then I will give you information that you can review, and then what we're going to do is do individual calls. Excuse me one sec. Then we'll do, nope, that's fine, thank you. Okay, so what we'll do is then individual calls where we'll talk more specifically about the ones that you're interested in. I'll answer any questions that you have, and then we'll go ahead and do an outline of the steps that we will take, and we'll get into project management in terms of whether we do it by spreadsheet or whether we do it by software, okay? And then how to go ahead and implement the program. And just so you know, everything we do is available on a local, national, and global scale. So if you are from different parts of the world, even though you're in the United States, and you want to see how you can make the connection between what we're doing here, what we're doing there, okay, you would be the point person to make that happen back in your own country.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, very good. Thank you. And Edna?
This might be a little awkward because on the website, I just skimmed through the description. So then I didn't realize that it was for college students only. So
No, that's not correct.
I'm a high school junior from the Bronx High School of Science. And I know this is really awkward.
No, it's not.
But,
No, it's actually not, because that's fine. You can be volunteers. Normally you would go, yes, you would go into a different area because this is for professionals who have had job experience for hopefully, you know, 5, 10, 20, 30 years. But don't worry, we have programs for high school students as well. So you're here, so we're not going to kick you out. Okay.
right.
And we've worked with Bronx Science before. My son went to Brooklyn Science, right? And we work with Stuyvesant. We work with other schools, you know, in the New York area. We're New York based, by the way. So that's why I'm a little bit more familiar with the high schools in New York, right? And our colleges, for our college internship and mentorship program, we're accepted by NYU, Columbia, Harvard, MIT, University of Pennsylvania, all the way out to schools in California, Florida, and whatever. We deal with over 30 different disciplines in our mentorship program. And we provide real world experience using 8 foundation skills. And our goal is to move people from a worker mentality into management and leadership tracks so they can have bigger impact in the world. Okay, so Edna, go ahead, introduce yourself, right? Say what you're studying, and we'll go from there.
Well, I just study most of the basics, but then for my elective, I'm in the math research team, and my mentor is currently a professor at a professor in radiology at NYU. And so that's what I basically do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go into your interests then. What are you interested in having an impact on? In other words, have you heard of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
good. You're a heck of a lot more advanced than most college students, so that's good. Is they're like, what? Huh? What's that? Okay, so you can say, oh, I'm interested in this aspect, and then we have programs that can make those things happen.
so I'm interested in one of the 17 goals, which is about like feeding the poor. And from a video that I watched before, the way they test for whether you are for whether you are I forgot the word for it, whether you aren't healthy or not, like they measure it by like 2 fingers with like this thing that goes around this band that goes around your wrist and measure it. I'm very interested in that goal. So I hope we could do something on that in the future.
Okay, so our programs work a little differently. Okay, and what we do is we work in conjunction with 5 types of institutions. We work with schools, we work with faith-based, we work with NGOs and NPOs around the world, we work with government agencies, and we work with businesses. Okay, and what we do is we always ask them, what's your objective? What are you trying to achieve? What do you need to do? And then based upon what they're working on, what they want to go ahead and do, we see how we can incorporate their objectives into programs that we already have. And then we collaborate to help them achieve their objective. Okay, so we don't necessarily go out and staff people for what you're talking about. That's not our purpose. That's not how we operate. Okay, so it would have to be a different way to go ahead and integrate our programs with helping people who, right, are, let's say, in the poverty level. Okay, so you'll learn more about that as we go through the programs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share screen, and I'm going to do a quick overview of different programs. Okay. And yeah, Edna, I don't know if you can just go ahead so you can see your full face in the frame. There you go. Okay, that's better. Cool. And then just if there's anything in what I'm going over that really, resonates with you, make a note of it so that we can talk more about it in detail. All right. Okay, so let's see, share screen. Let's see, this is to the top. Okay, so you all can see this fairly well. Okay, and I'm just going to enlarge it. Okay, so this is actually the title to a book that we're coming out with at the end of this month, January. It's called One, the Fight for Survival of the Human Race. And what it does is it details our mission and objectives and the programs that we have that are in our collaboration process. Okay. And then it shares information on how people can go ahead and get involved, regardless of what their backgrounds and interests are. And there's different pathways that they can go ahead and do. And then it goes into background on the programs and how we're, like I said, fully aligned with the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the things that, I mentioned before is that our programs are based on collaboration, and we collaborate with people, institutions, and countries. And the programs are built on the principles of civility, equality, education, action, inclusion, and sustainability. In other words, quality of life for all. Okay. And this decade is really going to be the tipping point for humanity, where quality of life for billions of people are at risk. And the problem is that we're using fractional approaches to solving global social issues, and it simply doesn't work. And it's not going to work in the future. So if we're going to go ahead and survive and really have quality of life, we've got to start collaborating to succeed. And what we're doing is we're creating a collaboration think tank global program where the institutions come in, they pick what are the SDGs that they're interested in working on. We divide them into teams, and then we have objectives that we need to reach for each of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We then go ahead and state what the problems are, and the solutions come from 3 different sources. It comes from the scientific arena, it comes from business, and it comes from academics. And then we develop action solutions that people can take, as well as the institutions can do from the top down to reach larger and larger numbers. And we have delivery systems in order to go ahead and do education plus action in order to achieve the objectives. So we have programs, books, workshops, courses, events, right? Initiatives, because not everybody's interested in learning the same way. So some people want to do books, some people want to do courses, some people want to do events, okay? Some people want to do campaigns, whatever it is. So you have to provide, right, a multi-pronged approach to reaching people. And you can't just work on one issue, because if you work on one issue like poverty, and you get poverty solved in, let's say, South Florida, which has one of the biggest homeless populations, right, in the country. Well, what happens when climate change comes along and then wipes out your entire infrastructure? Everything you've worked on for 5, 10, 20 years, right, comes to naught, and we're back in the same or worse situation. So that's the way that we're approaching things today. We're using fractional approaches, and we're not using a systematic, scalable set of solutions that address all the issues at one time. So everybody following that? Okay. So if you were going to apply this to, let's say, a collaboration impact area like the prison system, we do analytics into a lot of different areas so that, one, we understand what the problems are. And then we do analytics also into, hey, how we can go ahead and do solutions as well. So we did research into this, and I identified 6 major areas, right, which are actually, we shouldn't be #1 in the world in, but we are. So what are the 2 most populous countries in the world? Savarna, where are you from originally?
I'm from India.
Okay, and Edna, right? Where are you from or where are your parents from?
China.
Okay, so we got those two right here, right, with a combined population of almost 3 billion people. The prison population in both those countries combined is less than what we have in the United States. And we've got basically 1/10 the population. This is a very serious problem in this country. Not only that, people who are released, there's an 84% chance they're going to end up back in prison, and it costs the taxpayer, families like yours and mine, $1.2 trillion for this number of people incarcerated. What's really amazing is the healthcare system of Medicaid and Medicare combined, which impacts tens of millions of people positively, costs only 1.4 trillion. So if we can reduce the rolls of people going into prison by hundreds of thousands, that increases the amount of money that's available for other social programs. Plus, there's a whole bunch of, right, other societal benefits that come out of it. So we have put together, right, a step-by-step, right, program guide that impacts people starting with youth as young as 4 years old, so that they can go ahead and get inoculated against some of the social ills that might cause them to get on track to end up in the prison system in the first place. So it's preventative. And we've got programs, as you'll see, for youth that can go into the home, that can go into schools, that can go into faith-based, that can go into NGOs, that can go into government and go into business, so that people have a support system where they can build quality relationships as well as stronger ties to community, which, by the way, are the two keys to living a happier, healthier life. And by strengthening those, you're going to have less people going into prison. And then by putting the programs into prison, not just training programs when they get out that aren't going to sustain them, okay, either emotionally, psychologically, or financially, right? But it will prevent them from going back in as well. So the sum of these programs is reduction in people entering and returning to prison, lower government expenditures, which means higher tax revenue, because now these people are working and are productive members of society and contributing to unemployment, contributing to social programs through their taxes. Okay, you have improved population health and well-being, safer communities, stronger families, lower death and suicide rates. And at the same time, you're going to have a tremendous reduction in gun violence, which is epidemic in this country. You're going to have people who are less lonely, less isolated, less anxious, less suicidal. You're going to have less people in poverty. So there's a whole bunch of positive ramifications. And this program is going to be sent to all members of Congress, senators, representatives, the White House, and also the superintendent of prisons in every state, as well as wardens, governors, and mayors. And this might be a program that somebody might be interested in doing project management on. Okay, but there are lots of other programs. But this is how a collaboration impact area can work. Okay, now we have also our collaboration think tank for volunteers, where we have professionals come in and they can choose what area they're interested in: data analytics, meeting and events, marketing and public relations, business development, and then work on things from those standpoints in order to help the programs run. We also have ways for ordinary people to be the hero. where they can bring the one book, they can bring our programs into their homes, into schools, right? The institutions, and just make the connection. And then we do the rest. Okay. And then again, dealing with data and analytics, we analyzed a 20-year period of things like climate change and how it impacts hurricanes, floods, right? Electrical outages, drought, and fires in this country. So if we run into businesses and organizations that don't think they're going to be impacted, well, the data says otherwise. And even if it's not them impacted directly, it may be it may be their suppliers. It may be their customer base. So business is not going to be done as usual 5 to 10 years in the future because of the escalation of these things. And we're already seeing the impact of some of these things, right? Supply chain shortages, so that the cost of cars has gone up, which has fueled inflation. And if you don't know about those things, don't worry about it, right? We do a lot of investigation into the news and into businesses in order to know what's going on in a lot of different areas. Okay. So in the one book, it shares information to ordinary people. So no matter who you are, you're more connected, more powerful than you might think. You share the one book or specific programs with your community, and you don't have to explain everything that goes into the program. We do that. And when they collaborate, you're the hero, you made it happen. So this is on outreach, engagement, inspiration, and then education plus action to achieve objectives. So we break down the 5 institutions and we say, right, Edna, you're in school. Well, we're going to expand what you think your impact can be. Go through this list and see where you can go ahead and make connections. And then when you do that, you're the hero. So it's a question of who do you know? Who else can you reach? What will you share? What's your goal? And who do you want to be the hero for? Do you want to be it for your family, for your kids? You might not have kids yet, Edna, right? For your parents, whatever it is, or for your community. Okay. But you have the opportunity to go ahead and get involved and make a difference in any of these areas, because people don't think ordinarily that they can do anything. They think that they're pretty powerless and that their sphere is very small. You know, if you ask people, how many people can you connect with, right? They'll say, oh, 10. How many people, Edna, can you connect with? Make me feel good, say 10. I'm kidding.
10.
I'm kidding. Just you can answer that any way you want. How many people do you think you could connect with?
Sorry, I was on. Yeah, go ahead, Edna.
I'm not sure. I guess I could ask the teachers to help me with connecting people like in the school.
Well, we're going to share how you can go ahead and expand who you think can help you with the connections, so that instead of reaching, right, 10 people or a class of 30 people, you can be reaching thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Because the goal is to make impacts. Okay, so Savarna, did you want to go ahead and?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm part of a lot of different communities, so I meet a lot of people. So of course, I think I have a good number reach out, you know, at least to start the conversation, to spread the awareness, of course. Yeah.
Right, and that's great. And we have specific ways to spread the awareness so that it has maximum opportunity for engagement, and it literally takes 35 seconds to share. We don't go into where you've got to go ahead and learn everything about a program to share. The simplest way to share is, right? Hey, I just started a volunteer, right, connection with a nonprofit. They do tremendous work, on a national and global scale. And I wanted to go ahead and set up a time, right, for you to learn a little bit more about what I'm doing, because you might know some people that might be interested in these programs. And of course, if you see something that you like, wow, that would be great, because then we might have an opportunity to go ahead and work together. And that's all you say. You don't have to go ahead and, know everything about our Project Cope. You just have to know that you're interested in working on it, and it does this, this, and this. And when they say, so Savarna, can you tell me more about it? And you'd say, well, I'd love to, but I'm still going ahead and learning. So I'm going to set up a meeting, right, for you and I, and maybe some other people to come in and meet with our executive director, our founder of the organization, and he'll share the information. And that's the way you handle it. And really simple and really effective. Okay. So at the heart of planned acts of kindness, we have the Karma Club. Anybody hear about karma before? That was also a joke. Okay, Edna, you know what karma is, right? That's right. The easy explanation that we do is, right, what goes around comes around. So, right, whatever you do in life, it can come back to you. We deal with the positive aspects of karma, okay? And I actually gamified it, believe it or not. Okay, so karma's been around a little while. I turned it into, hey, right, a game. The more you do, the greater your rewards. And that can be metaphysical rewards. So we're not violating any Buddhist principles. Okay, but the thing is that every day people wake up and there's a new planned act of kindness that they can do with their friends, family, coworkers, and in their community. And the goal is to have tens of millions of people in the United States, hundreds of millions of people around the world doing the same planned act on the same day and unleashing that much positive, powerful energy in the world. Because the keys to living happier, healthier lives, not how much money you make, not how many drugs you take, right? Not how many toys you have, but really the quality of your relationships and your sense of community. And that's what planned acts enhances in people. So there are 4 different activities that you do during the month. You do your planned acts, you do engagement with other people, you do volunteerism, no matter where you are in the world, through our programs, and you do support. And you can actually level up in the Karma Club where you're eligible for free gifts and rewards. And the goal by the end of 2022 is to be in all 200 countries with the program and to have hundreds and hundreds of gifts being given out all over the world every single day. Okay, now that's how we get people to take individual, personal, behavioral changes, okay, to affect the world in a positive way. But the problems of the world, climate change, pollution, overpopulation, right, economic inequality, right, racial inequality, racial intolerance, gender intolerance, right, health inequities. These are things that are not going to be solved by governments and corporations alone. They're actually going to be solved by ordinary people like you and I working together, right, on common causes with a common focus. So imagine if we've got 100,000 people in the Karma Club and we can call them together at a moment's notice through our software, because they're getting the planned acts every day. We can send out notifications to all of them and say, hey, we're working on this problem, which has to do with, right, pollution. And we need to go ahead and get XYZ corporation and government to do the right thing for people and the planet. So this is what we can do. We can bring these millions of people together collectively at a moment's notice. And that's what the world needs. Okay. Now, Let's bring it back down to a smaller level to a certain extent. And we have our EQL program on the right, Education for Quality of Life. And that's by taking the planned acts of kindness and putting it into schools as early as kids 4 years old. So at assembly, a child makes an announcement on what that day's planned act of kindness is. In individual classrooms, it can be done. And then, right, what the kids do in terms of how many planned acts they do and what engagement they did, they can earn recognition and rewards for what they do. And this can go ahead and serve to really inoculate them from some of the problems that they're going to face in school and in life. Everything from other antisocial behavior from kids, because they now have a support system. Okay. Then moving into high school, we have our One Planet, One People clubs, where you can start on campus, you can start them, right, countrywide, you can start them globally. Before COVID, I was talking to the Minister of Education in Beijing about putting the clubs in the school system in China. And then COVID hit and we weren't talking anymore. Okay. Before COVID, I was talking to the department, we're a Department of Education vendor in New York. We were talking to the sustainability department, which impacts all 1,500 schools in New York City. And they wanted the club program to be available for their students in the different schools. And the way the club program works is people come in regardless of their background, regardless of the, and then based on their interests, they get to work on quality of life programs and see what type of impact they could have in the world. And the objective is to provide youth with a support program that helps them build quality relationships and a strong sense of community while doing engaging activities that provide quality of life for people, regardless of nationality, race, religion, age, gender, education, or income. And each of the club programs is going to have a magazine and a video program that they produce to highlight what their members are doing in a significant way. And then these things can go on the kids' portfolio, right, and resumes to help them get into college, to help define what their interests are going to be for their careers. So, right, Edna, this might be a program that you're interested in. This is our internship and mentorship program that we use with colleges around the country and international students, where we teach the 8 foundation skills, and we have them work in the real world, because unfortunately everything they've done in school, even if they get their undergraduate or their master's degree, nothing has an impact in the real world. And that's really a shame about how education systems work, and we're working to change that. Okay. We have career track management programs. We have a certification program that we're developing on the 8 foundation disciplines: communication, business, marketing, management, office technology, research, problem solving, and time management. Because these are the collaborative skills that people need to move from worker mentality into management and leadership. It's not a question of how good a researcher you are, how good you are at programming. That will keep you as a worker. Okay, you need these skills working together to go into management leadership. And we have multiple training opportunities that can go into HR, and companies can go ahead and use this to apply corporate social responsibility, not just to, right, what the general public sees, but to their employees, to give them work-life balance so that they can recruit and retain people at a higher level by giving, right, their employees things that are valuable to them. So we have a whole huge program devoted to HR programs that are designed for ordinary people who are working. So, right, Savarna, that might be something, an aspect that you're interested in. Okay, so we have, right, our career check management courses, their certification courses, okay, in these areas. I've written a book called The Working Dead, which goes into financial literacy, not how it's taught in school, because the only thing taught in school is the Wall Street model. So we got master's level students in finance, economics, and business who know nothing about how money works, because schools don't teach it. Okay, but if you want to have the foundation for yourself, your family, and your future, you've got to know how the banks work. You got to know how Wall Street works. You got to know how your company's 401k benefit plan works. Okay, and what it's not providing for you and what your risks are. You got to know how insurance works, all these things. And this is what we teach. You got to know how to do debt reduction, debt management. And there's 6 different areas that we go into, including taxation. So we have benefit programs that can go into nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and schools and businesses, where we provide custom programs to people after we do education. And these are all government certified, government recognized programs that use a different part of the tax code that the rich set up for themselves. We just make it available to everybody. Okay. We've teamed up with an award-winning architecture company out of Asia who built, who designed and constructed the headquarters for Microsoft in Shanghai, as well as other worldwide programs. And we've created a home office workspace hub, or a series of different office designs at different community-based levels, so that they're not doing just the traditional office any longer, because that's the old way of doing it. We need to go ahead and address modern needs. And then also we have the opportunity to add in our quality of life programs and make those available to employees, contractors, and families, which ordinary benefit plans don't do. They're only available for that direct employee. Okay, as far as sustainability is concerned, and climate change and CO2 emissions and water usage and all that good stuff, right? We have programs where property owners or tenants can go ahead and tell us what their problems are associated with their buildings. And then we can provide the solutions, right, through our connections as well. We're actually starting a whole product-based shopping arena that goes into green and sustainable products in multiple different industries in order to start providing solutions for more and more people to these problems. And everything that I'm talking about is actually programs, or are actually programs. So you can say, ooh, I want to work on the shopping cart. I want to work on the sustainable products, because we go into, hey, it's called green cement. Okay. So it's how to develop cement where it actually captures CO2 emissions and locks them away forever. Whereas if you know what's going on, right, with the permafrost, okay, in Russia, and, you know, that's thawing right now. And even though it's been locked away for millions of years, it's releasing CO2 and methane that are going to basically incinerate this planet if something's not done. Okay, so we've got to have different methods for capture and confinement that are long-term. So we do the investigation. And then we provide solutions. So you might want to work on that. We have books, 16 things books that are completely devoted to different problem areas, whether it's mental health, whether it's family issues, whether it's education, poverty, right? Whatever. February 24th, 2020, I spoke at the United Nations and presented a book on mental health, about how we can collaborate and do this on a global basis. They loved it. They signed up for it. 2 weeks later, the UN was shut down because of COVID. In March of 2020, I was supposed to speak at the Excel conference of the Wesleyan Church to 109 churches, because the Wesleyan Church wanted us to do a book on family issues. Everything from financial issues to domestic violence to substance abuse. Okay, so providing the problems and solutions. And then this would go out into communities all over the country. Talking about doing 100,000 books, which has a circulation of 500,000, which then forms the basis of One Planet, One People workshops that are free. People who have the book can start their own workshop where it's 8 to 12 weeks long. They read out loud what the problem scenario is, how we normally handle it. And then each problem has 2 experts that address how we solve it and why we need to solve it. And then they can read out loud those aspects, and they have a discussion group about that issue and about the action solutions. And over the course of 8 to 12 weeks, where they dive into these 16 problem areas, they can form into smaller teams that can address the problems on a local, national, or global scale. So for each book that we put out, and we put out 100,000 copies of a title like that, you might have 60,000, you might have 200,000 people going through workshops in conjunction with a book. So these are designed to have real actionable solutions that people can do. And you might work on a book. You might work on getting the experts set up with interviews, and then actually interviewing some of them with a preset questions that we have, where they do a video interview, and then we transcribe it, take part of it, put it into the book, and the other parts from the video interview get broken up, and we use those for social media. And for every 20-minute interview that an expert does, we set up a scholarship in their name to give books and materials to 500 disadvantaged youth in whatever geographic area they want. So by doing that with 32 experts, we already have 16,000 people going through workshops as a base. That's a lot of people getting educated in a particular area. And we're not just going to translate the books into other languages. We're going to form board of advisors in other countries so that they can pull their own experts, put together, right, then country-driven books. Because what works in the United States may not work in India, because India right now is going through their own climate change problems with too much heat, too much pollution in certain areas, like lack of clean water, okay? And these things are gonna kill millions and millions and millions of people. Everything from air pollution to water pollution, okay? And China's going through their own issues as well. So these are actionable programs that you can work on in order to go ahead and really have an impact. Serum is our social institutional reform and equality month, where we do a month-long set of videos, one video per day, and they're based on, right, the pillars that go into one planet, one people: civility, social responsibility, volunteerism, and global citizenship. And then later in the week, we have days that are devoted to breaking those issues into, right, for different institutions, how they would go ahead and address that problem specifically. So on civility, we talk to faith-based organizations. And then later in the week, we have panel discussions on race equality as a component of civility. On social responsibility, we bring that portion into the education. And then we have panel discussions on wealth equality. So each one of these things, we drill down deeper and deeper into the subjects with experts. Okay. I wrote a book which is going to come out in the first quarter of this year. It's a memorial book which allows people to keep the joy and the memories of a lost loved one alive through documenting things in their life as well as stories. And we've pledged to give away a free book to everyone in the world who lost a loved one due to COVID-19. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this book into corporations, governments, nonprofits, faith-based, where they can brand the book with information about their organization and their mission and what they're doing, and then give the book away to their shareholders and stakeholders. And that's how we get it seeded throughout the world. You can work on something like that. But then again, you might want to work on the Great Pizza Peace Plan Challenge. Okay. And we have a kindness pledge. I hereby make a pact to treat others with respect and kindness, and to go through life from this day forward, acting towards others as I would wish to be treated myself. This is Lyle from New York City for plannedacts.org and One Planet, One People. So the thing is, right, Savarna, how many languages do you speak?
It's two.
Two. Well, you got me beat. I'm still working on English. Okay. So the thing is, you can do this pledge in two languages by video, and it goes into our app. The goal is to have literally hundreds of thousands of people saying the pledge all over the world in whatever languages they speak, so that people can drill down into whatever continent, whatever country they want, and listen to other people taking the pledge, saying the pledge in other languages. Because it doesn't matter what country we're from, it doesn't matter what language that you speak. We all want the same thing. We all want respect, and we want quality of life. And this just shows how we're all one planet, one people. So you might want to work on that. But the thing is, we want this publicized by pizza companies, by putting it on the box to their pizza delivery. And then once a month, we're going to have pizza parties that are worldwide, where people can invite other people over, have a pizza party, right? Take the pledge, put it on video, and also talk about our other programs and how to get involved. And imagine if we had this at sporting events, where we're giving away free pizza to people in the audience, and you got 60,000 people during halftime taking the pledge at one time. Right? And you got teams challenging other teams in other cities around the world to do the same thing. This is how we think. Okay, big time. Okay, this is our, we did a lot of research into what went on with COVID financially with people around the world, how it impacted them. And we came up with some interesting things. In 2020, from the time of the pandemic in March until the end of the year, billionaire wealth increased by almost double. There are only 2,700 billionaires in the world. If you go to a large college, I went to University of Florida. I grew up in Florida, so I went there for my undergraduate and I went to law school there. We have colleges with more people in it than there are billionaires on the planet. They control literally, 60%, 70, 80% of the wealth in the world. Just this handful of people. Meanwhile, global workers lost 3.7 trillion. Isn't that amazing? There's something wrong with these numbers. Okay. So in our app, we're going to go ahead and publish the name of every billionaire. And we're going to go to them with a program and say, hey, what can you give back to people? Right? Our goal is to have 20,000 collaboration partners, okay, by 2025, 200 government collaborations, 350 sustainable development industry partners. And we want to know what you're going to contribute to helping people around the globe, not just going ahead and padding your bank accounts. We want to raise $1 for every one person on the planet. So by 2025, that's 8 billion people. That's what it's going to take, right, to really scale up and have, these huge impacts. We also have our Crazy Ambitious Activities program, okay, on the right, where if you're involved in sports, you're involved with church, you're involved with schools, you're involved with business, whatever, IT, whatever it is, we have specific programs that you can go ahead and say, ooh, I want to do that. I want to, I'm even going to get a team together and we're going to work on something like this. And when you do something that really has an impact, we're going to interview you and we're going to put you in one of our books. Not just with an acknowledgement, but as a featured expert to show and inspire other people. Okay, these are just other programs that we have. I'm not going to go into all of them because there's a lot. Okay, as you can see, these are some things that we're doing for the future. We're creating a software-based portal. So anyone in the world can connect through the portal with other people to go ahead and talk about our programs. And what's going to be really interesting is we're going to try to get funding so that these portals can be in things like malls. So you can just, in a mall, you can see a kiosk, you can see a portal there, you can log in and you can talk to people around the world. And it'll automatically translate whatever they're saying. Is that cool? Right? We have our summits. You can work on events if you like doing events. Okay. You can work on donations. You can work on sponsorship, business development. A lot of different programs where we've been featured in the news, everything from radio, television, magazines, newspapers, right? People have participated pre-COVID-19, sorry, right? With our events. Supporters of our program, everyone from Google with grants, Simon Property Group, the largest property owner in the country. They own the malls. We're vetted by the Peace Corps, right? And the Peace Corps recommends their people to us and us to them. United Nations, everything from schools to organizations to companies, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and I think that comes to the end of this. There are other programs. Everything we do is based on psychology and sociology. Okay, so, we have actually, I'll just very quickly, because we're gonna wrap up fairly soon, so we respect people's time. I will show you something else. Can you see this? Are we still on share? No? Okay. Okay, this is called Project Cope. Okay, And it's a health, happiness, and wellness program that's designed to go into schools, faith-based organizations, as well as companies, HR departments. Okay. And what it does is it uses the planned acts of kindness and the activities that you can do in the Karma Club as the basis for increasing your happiness in life. And what happens is you come in, you take an assessment that gives you a health, happiness, and wellness score. And then you start doing your daily planned acts, as many as you want to do. They don't cost anything. They're free. Okay, you start doing engagement, you start doing the other activities. And every 2 weeks, you retake the assessment and it gives you a new health, happiness, and wellness score. So you continue to do your planned acts. The more you do, the greater your rewards, the greater your health, happiness, and index score will be. So it's quantifiable. Okay, when you do these things, this is the result that's going to happen. Okay, and what it does is it reduces people's feeling of isolation, stress, depression, right? And it gives them the opportunity to live a happier, healthier life. So this is the methodology, how we recruit for it, how we do our analytics, right? How we do our assessments. Okay. And then how it works on a grassroots and institutional application. And you can say, ooh, I want to bring that into the school system. I want to bring that into faith-based. I want to bring that to companies. And then you can do, right, project management and things like that on those types of programs as well. So we have a whole wealth of programs. We are not your ordinary NPO by any stretch of the imagination. We're set up to be disruptive. We're set up to go ahead and do things completely differently because a wise person once said, right, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And Edna, do you know who said that?
No, of course not.
Okay, it's Albert Einstein. Okay, so you know Albert Einstein, rather a smart individual. And the thing is that what we're doing is we're making the same mistakes over and over and over again by using the fractional approach to solving these issues, when if we collaborate and we have a system to do it, we'll be that much closer to solving them, pushing back on them. So we have to do things differently, and we have to engage people all over the world to make it happen. Okay, so what I'd like to do next is, if you don't already have it, behind me is a QR code. And you can scan that with your phone. It won't take up any memory. Okay, it won't take up any memory on your phone, but what it'll do is give you access to our programs. Hi, Joseph. Let's see, unfortunately, right, we're just ending up this session, but I'll be able to talk to you. And I think that we had our times confused because we do 5 o'clock Eastern time. So I don't know what time zone you're in.
This is Joe. Are you speaking to me? I'm sorry.
Right. Yes, I was speaking to you.
Yes, I had 5 o'clock Central Time. I'm so sorry.
No, we only do, yeah, it's if you check again, it's Eastern. Don't worry about it. I'll talk to you, don't worry. Okay, I'll still be here. Okay, but just let me finish up with that. And you're sideways. I don't know if you can rectify that by turning your, there you go. Thank you. Otherwise, I can go ahead and try mine, but it might not. I might have to go back to the chiropractor. So yeah, if you can put the app on your phones, and then you'll be able to go through and see a lot of the programs. We're adding more once the one book is done in the next couple of weeks. And then what I want you to do is I'm going to put my name and phone number in the chat. And Joseph, you already have that, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. And what I want you to do is put down your name, your email, and I'm going to send you information on what we've spoken about. And then you can text me back and say, hey, I'd like to meet individually and talk about X, Y, and Z. And then I'll be able to go over those and we'll be able to work out how we can go ahead and collaborate on making these things happen. Okay. And of course, if you know of other people that might be interested in what we're doing, okay, or if they can recommend other people, we'll set up a time to meet with them as well. Okay, that will be at a different time. 68917-683-2625. Okay, great. And are there any questions I can answer right now? You know, I know that I gave you a lot of information, like lots of information, so it might be a little confusing now, but once we hone down what area that you're interested in, then, right, we'll have the systems, both outreach and business, in order to go ahead and get you squared away and get you going.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin. I just want to say that the program is very well structured and it's very interesting, definitely. So I'll be in touch with you later. And really thank you for your time and the crucial information that you have shared so far. Thank you so much.
You are quite welcome. And again, likewise, thank you for taking your time out of the day. Okay, and we're excited to have you on board. And that goes for you, Edna, and thank you for showing initiative. Okay, that's what we need. More people. You're going to inherit the problems that you didn't have anything to do with creating. Okay, so the better equipped you are to handle those things, hopefully, right, more impact you're going to have and the happier life you're going to have. Okay, so when you get involved in the program, you can do it simply from a volunteer level, but also you can say, hey, I want to go through the internship program as well. So you can go on to the website, plannedacts.org. You can go on to internships and whatever it's talking about on the college level, right? You can just apply it to yourself in the high school level as well. Okay. But if you simply want to volunteer, right, we're going to show you how you can go ahead and be the inspiration to other people and make things happen. Cool. Okay. Anything you'd like to say? Okay, cool. No problem. No worries at all. Savarna, thank you. We'll talk soon. And it's been great. Appreciate it. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay.
Hey, I am so sorry. First, let me, if you have these sessions on a regular basis, I don't want to take up your time here on a Friday night. If you have another session next week with more people, I'd be happy to attend that.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. We have one on Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Is that okay?
Yeah, at 5 o'clock Eastern time. I will mark that down. It just, I had been on the website for Taproot and all the meetings were coming back with Central time. So I just,
okay.
I didn't even know.
No worries at all. No worries at all. So anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. And you?
Aside from having long COVID, I'm doing good.
You have COVID. When did you first get it?
I got COVID in March of 2021. So I've had long COVID for 9 months, going on 10 months.
What are your symptoms? Your lack of taste, lack of smell?
Nope. 24-hour-a-day headaches, 7 days a week.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And they were worse than migraines. I never had migraines, but from the research I did, you know, migraines are temporary.
Yeah.
Okay. My headaches are normally at a level, a pain level like 3 and 4, but they can go up to 7 and 8, and they could last. I've had episodes last as long as 2 to 3 days.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
It's been bad, but right, we're making. I say this. We're making progress based on all the drugs and therapies I've been going through. Oh my God. Now we're trying to reduce those drugs and seeing if taking them away, I'm still having some benefits from not having them. So anyway.
This virus has kind of affected people in so many different ways. I had it back in November of 2020. Yeah, November 2020. And lost my sense of smell, sense of taste. I thought I had allergies up until the time that I went to go eat a chicken wing and I could not taste the hot sauce. And I was like, oh, I got it. And it took me months. I'm starting to get my taste and my smell back, but I have lost long-term things that I could smell before, like skunk. I can't smell skunk anymore.
Wait, and that's a disadvantage?
I'm
You're
not
the only
saying
person on the planet, Joe, who's had an advantage from COVID-19.
Unless my dog drags one in, then I'll never know, and he's got.
You can be a skunk farmer. I don't know why you'd want to be a skunk farmer, but you could.
Nothing I would look forward to. But if you want, if we can again, if I can join you next week, because I really don't. I feel so bad.
No, don't feel bad, but I appreciate that because the thing about the COVID and the meds I'm on, it dehydrates me from speaking a lot. So I have to, this is my, contrary to what color it looks like, it's actually, no, it's something I actually drink. It's green tea, a mixture.
Oh, okay.
It looks like something else, but anyway. So it gives me a chance to recover a little bit between meetings, and I appreciate that very much.
No worries. So I'll put it on my calendar.
Thank you.
5 o'clock Central. No, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern.
5 o'clock Eastern.
5 o'clock Eastern.
5 o'clock Eastern, and we can text. I can send you a reminder. I'll remember. 5 o'clock Eastern. And then the way it will happen is I'm going to have you introduce yourself, say a little bit about what your background is, right? And then, what you're working on, what you're interested in doing moving forward. Not necessarily tied into our programs yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a lot about a lot of different programs that we have, because we are not your ordinary NPO, by any stretch of the imagination, because our goals and our mission are much, much greater. Because that's what the planet really needs. We're using a fractional approach to solving problems. It doesn't work. It's not going to work in the future. And this decade is going to determine quality of life for billions of people. So we've developed, scalable, systematic programs that can address everything from climate change to pollution to overpopulation, all these different issues, including health inequities, income inequality, all these different issues that people face around the world, because you need a systematic approach. Because even if you solve, let's say, poverty in one part of the country, where are you from originally? Is that Texas?
Massachusetts, but living in Texas now.
Oh my God, what a culture shock.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Gosh, I joined the Air Force when I was 18 years old. So in 1979, that's when I moved away from Massachusetts, and I've traveled the country and the world. And my wife was still active duty Air Force when we married, and her job brought us down here. I've grown to like it. I didn't like it the first couple of years. Didn't like it was hot all the time. But something to be said. Like right now, I'm smoking a pork butt, and it's 72 degrees outside. So.
Right. Well, yeah, you can't do that in Massachusetts right now. No. And you wouldn't want to either, probably. It's not the kind of food. So that's cool. What did you do in the Air Force?
First 3 years, logistics, so getting things from here to there, and then the last 17 years, financial management, cost analysis. So do money, all kinds of things related to costing, capital expenditures, and then how do we go about using the money that we had as appropriated by Congress?
Okay, cool. Well, we have some very interesting programs. I think that with your background and your attention to detail, you'll and as well as what the objectives are, I think you'll enjoy them. And
I'll challenge you on the attention to detail, because obviously I didn't see the time right. So there you go. I mean,
Well, we allow allowances, right? As right, as long as no lives lost, we're okay.
Yep.
Well, listen, you have a great weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
too.
after we have that meeting, then we'll meet again individually, and we'll
Okay.
sort of drill down into what your interests are based upon what I've presented, and I'll give you copies of the material so you can look through it,
Okay.
more in detail. Matter of fact, well, I was going to say, I'll wait until I speak first before I give you the information as follow-up, so it'll make more sense that way to you.
Sounds
Okay?
good. All right.
Great.
Well, have a good weekend.
Great. And enjoy your pulled pork.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.